and down, and if it goes to 15 or 11, I'm thinking it might do that. It might go lower before it goes up. It's gonna go up. Have I made this clear? It's gonna go up. Buying it under 20 is a no-brainer. It's a gimme. JP Morgan has the largest supply of physical silver now hoarded in one place. Those guys are preparing for the future, and then they're gonna make money. They'll make money all the way up and make it down. But let me show you how they make money on the way down. A very quick, easy one. I need 3 people to do this. But it's just going to be me. So here is a little 100 Monkey Mystery Theater. So let's say there's a guy over here, and he's got a silver coin, and he knows me, and he knows I'm good for it, that I'll pay him back. And I say, hey, can I borrow that silver coin? I want to borrow it. I'll give it back, I promise. And he's like, okay, but you got to give it back in a certain amount of time. I'm like, oh, no problem. I'll give it back to you in whatever the time frame is, because I know what I'm going to do. I buy it. Okay, so I'm not even buying it. I'm just borrowing this, right? Okay, so I borrow it, and now I sell it to you at $25 because I've made a whole bunch of noise about this and that and how silver's going to the moon and so forth, and I sell it to you for 25 bucks an ounce. Okay, but I'm going to flood the market now with paper, and I'm going to do all kind of stuff to make the price go down, right? And selling a bunch of silver can also cause the price to go down. So if I have some more silver, I might sell that silver at 20, and the price starts to go down. And I certainly will flood the market with paper if I can, which just represents air and so forth, and the price goes down to 20. Great, I take my 25 bucks, I buy these things back for 20, I make $5 an ounce. On 1,000,000 ounces, that's some money. You know, that's what the big boys do. It's not just, 500 ounces at a time or 100 ounces at a time. They're moving. Okay, so anyway, they make $5 an ounce. Now I say, hey, here's your silver back. He's happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy, except for the guy that bought it 25 and lost $5 an ounce. And you might even be the one that sells it back to me for 20 when you're like, oh no, I don't want to lose any more money. Okay, oh, look at that. I can't believe how white my teeth are. And the inside of the banana peels, you silly people. Not the outside, the inside, the white part. You put that on. Oil pulling has made a huge difference. Turmeric. Anyway, that's it for this video. So that's it. Silver. Sideways down. It will go up one day. Today is not the day. Next week is not the day. I think it will probably be another long, hot summer. And I'm thinking that during the summertime, which when it traditionally goes down has been the case, it didn't manage to get up during the spring, and they're pushing it down now. I expect during the summertime they may get it down further. If it does go down further and you bought some at 19 or 20 or something like that, buy more. It's going to go up. I'm telling you, the system will collapse. It will fail. We'll make this part fast and easy too. And this is to our benefit, actually. Because with the system failing. You need to prep for this, though. But what I'm saying is that because people are getting silver, amassing silver, because people are preparing, because people are starting to understand what's going on, the reset will happen. We're not going back to Mad Max times. We're not going back to, right? It's not, right? They have all that fear and stuff. They like the fear and lack and so on. But we're not going to go back into the dark ages because the currency collapses. It's not the end of the world. It's not doomsday. The thing, it's not, okay, they will reset because if they don't, people will come up with alternative fuels, alternative currency, alternative, right? And figure out that we don't need these guys. They don't want that. They don't want you figuring out you don't need them. So it may take them 60 days, 90 days, maybe a little bit longer. A lot of people may die off during that period of time. A lot of people there may be a lot of wars that start during that time, but they will reset the system. So you better be prepared for at least 90 days, probably longer than that, right? Could be shorter than that, but you have 90 days is good because after 90 days, well, hopefully you can become sustainable and so forth and start realizing that you need to grow your own food and blah, blah, blah. And again, then you don't need them so much, right? Free energy, I'll put a link down there. Getting around the legal tender laws. That's why you see all this cryptocurrency going on and so forth, because our currency sucks. It's crap. The FRN keeps going down in value. But I'm telling you, they're not going to, it's not going to be the end of the world when our currency fails, because they will reset the system. Otherwise, American ingenuity, my countrymen and around the world, they will come up with other ways to do things. You will still want to travel. You will still want to put, it's not going to, I'm telling you, society isn't going to end, and the stories are bullshit. More lies. So be of good cheer. Educate self. Educate on sound money. Educate on ways to avert the catastrophes that can come, or to make them, because we're going to come through the other side smelling like roses, because the awakening is huge now. Too many people are waking up. They can't keep the lid on the fact that cancer can be cured by cannabis. They can't keep the lid on the fact that cannabis could pull more CO2 out of the atmosphere than we could put into the atmosphere if we would just plant it. It could four times more than an acre of trees. On and on. They can't lie to you about, it's just lies. If they're lying about the weather and they lied about CO2 and they lied about the cures for cancer, what else are they lying about? Just ask yourself, what else are they lying about? They're lying about the currency? They're lying about our debt? They're lying about the reasons why we didn't go into Syria? We didn't go into Syria because of Putin and the Russians saying we could accept anything we wanted for oil, It's like, I remember this story is great. Long story short, it's too long a story to tell, but the long story short is these guys were in a very expensive glass shop. They were Germans, and Germans can be very rude to each other, if you know the culture. Anyway, this girl had gone into to buy a light bulb or some parts and so forth from these guys because they were working on this lamp or they were working on something. And she bought the wrong thing, and she went back to trade it in or get the money or whatever. And the guy said no, she wouldn't do it, right? Wouldn't do it for the little girl. So she went back and basically told her friends, "You won't give me the money back." So they went down there, and these are some big ass, mean German guys into his store, and the bigger, burlier guy looks around and goes, "You got a lot of fragile, expensive stuff in this store." He made the trade. He gave them their money back, got the parts they wanted, and everybody left. Putin, we could take rupees, we could take yuan, we could take gold for oil instead of going through the petrol. You don't have to trade your money in for Federal Reserve notes. You could just trade us whatever. And Ukraine is about plumbing anyway, just like Pipelineistan is about plumbing, and plumbing that we never did put through in Afghanistan. We got nothing to say after Iraq and after, dropping bombs in Pakistan and Afghanistan and Yemen. We got nothing to say to the Russians about what's going on their own borders. And that has been going on longer than the United States. If you understood why there are so many Russians there in Ukraine and in Crimea, they've been fighting over that area since before the United States was the United States. We got nothing to say about it. Nothing. We have no moral high ground. We got nothing to say about it. And the Russians could just, slit our heel with the petrodollar. And unlike Iraq, when Saddam Hussein did that, we ain't walking into Russia. We're not kicking them over and setting up banks and central banks there. So their central bank is owned by our central bank anyway. It's good cop, bad cop anyway. But that's a whole another issue. Why didn't we go into Syria? The same thing. China, Iran, and Russia and China are trading partners. They do a lot of oil back and forth. They do a lot of stuff back and forth. Okay, we ain't walking into Iran. It ain't happening. That's never going to happen. They'll saber rattle and make all kinds of noise and use it to rig markets and tell you that this and make commodities go up there and silver and blah, blah, blah because we're about to go into Iran or there's going to be war. No. Telling you, no. But I am telling you, but that could trigger a collapse. There's a lot of things that could trigger a collapse, right? They might saber rattle to the point where people actually lose faith in the FRN, and boom, the Chinese might actually dump. Right? I told you I'd make a video about this. All right, we're going along. China no longer buys our debt. China was a net seller of debt in December. We are now monetizing debt. The central bank is buying its own debt, right? The Federal Reserve, the way that system is supposed to work is they're supposed to sell it to others, but they're not. They're buying up their own debt, monetizing the debt, monetizing our own treasuries. This has happened numerous times in history. Look back, how does it end? Every time. It ends the same way. Okay, when is this going to happen? I don't know, but you better prepare for it. And just having this is not preparing for it, right? You won't be able to eat this. But again, it's not going to be the end of the world. I'm telling you, the system will reset because they don't want us understanding that we don't need them. It's only a few thousand guys. It's not hundreds of thousands of guys. It's less than 100,000 guys that control the world. And people think that's crazy talk, but it's not. Just do a little simple math. It doesn't take, I think one guy figured out that it was 7,000 or 10,000 guys that made most of the money off of all the corporations in the United States. All of them. Because they sit on the boards, it's very incestuous, and they make profits, and the bankers own. All right, our founding fathers warned us about this. So the bankers become hugely powerful. getting interest on money they print from thin air. And then they use actual real assets to pay back that interest. And then they use those real assets to buy other assets. And now the bankers own the military-industrial complex. They own the pharmaceutical complex. They own the, name it, right? They own the medical industrial complex. They own the prison industrial complex. They own, right? So what do? They lie to you about the drug war. Turns out we're in cahoots with these guys. And everybody's like, yeah, I know it. Monsanto. Corporate capture is what's happened. So these corporations that the bankers own turn around and lobby the government for their interests, not for ours. And these corporations, like Monsanto, for example, turn out to be, and again, our scientists look like asses on the world stage because people are starting to realize the reason why the bees are dying is because of the chemicals that Monsanto makes, right? I'll put an article down there. And the Russians and the Chinese and others, Indians and Brazilians, have all gotten pretty pissy with us about not reining in this corporation. And the bullshit lies that they tell you on mainstream media about how it's saving the world and it's all about, you know, more greater yields and this nonsense, lies, and more damn lies. These guys now have a representative, Monsanto I'm talking about. They bought Blackwater. That should concern you. But, yeah, mercenary army, they have their own. I mean, it's insanity what's going on. Anyway, they have a guy in the Supreme Court. They have a guy in the White House that appoints their guys to the FDA, the EPA, to federal judgeships, to all over the place, right? So that if you sue, you will lose because the guy is not impartial. He is on the payroll of, or was on the payroll, and will be again on the payroll of Monsanto, and therefore you can't win in court against them. Right, when their crops, when their GMO crops contaminate your fields, and then it should be them that pay. It just common sense says it should be them that they sue the farmer and win. And I mean, they have a huge legal department. Okay, anyway, and the government's not doing a damn thing about that. Of course they're not. They're not doing a damn thing about education. They lie to you about that. Right? Oh, we don't know how to educate people. I don't know why it's getting worse. It's getting worse on purpose. Common Core, they don't want you understanding mathematics because you will become unruly if you understood mathematics. Right? I just had this conversation multiple times. If you imagine the kids in Alabama, all the black kids, not the white kids, not anybody else, not even nobody else. There's tons of Mexicans in Alabama, as it turns out, but just the black kids, just the sons of slaves, the sons and daughters of slaves. If they all understood mathematics, algebra and calculus, and could apply it, and then could go on into chemistry and physics and statistics and other things, right? I mean, we had a whole generation where the whole state, everybody in that state, all those black kids understood mathematics. Do you think they want that? Do you think that would be in their interest? Do you think they have any freaking interest in that at all? All right. Quit fooling yourselves. The government isn't going to come and fix things. The government is government initiatives. If the DOE isn't going to fix the education problem in the United States, we are. Now, they have no interest in everybody being educated in mathematics because I'm telling you, you would become unruly too quickly. And the math it's not to their benefit to have you understanding math. It's as simple as that. More conspiracy theory, right? Oh, these 10, right? Anyway. I'm going to tell you one last time. Let's recap because I've been talking for so damn long. They're lying about everything. They're lying about the price of silver. They're lying about the weather. They're lying about the CO2. They're lying about the cannabis. They're lying about, right? And now they're trying to float this CBD thing and get the THC out because they wouldn't want you high. They're lying about, okay, telling you, one position on the radio dial. The dial is infinite, my friends. This is just one little position that these things and these things and these things, we make sound and see and hear in a very narrow portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. It goes on in each direction forever. And then there's multiple dimensions, and then we don't want to get crazy like that. But they only want you on this one, and they don't want you understanding that you co-create and that you are a powerful individual and that you can make change in your world and around. No, they don't want any of that. Right? They don't want no DMT.